research paper, I had three main questions. And the first one was, how do AI drones compare to traditional methods like satellites and ground sensors? And my second one is, what are the benefits and limitations of AI drones in wildfire response? And my third and last one is, can AI drones predict fire behavior and reduce damage? And I think this is very important because as wildfires become more frequent and intense due to climate change, and they have like faster and more efficient detection, which is really crucial. So my research aims to assess AI drones in effectiveness in detecting wildfires and identifying their challenges and benefits and exploring potential improvements in their technology. And this leads me to my research objectives. And I have three. One is assess AI drone efficiency in wildfire detection. The second one is identify challenges and benefits in wildfire management. And the third one is to explore future improvements for AI drone technology. So for my literature review, throughout my research, there weren't many research material I could find because this is a very like a new topic that's just like started. So I found two main ones. One is DIRAD Networks, where and one is DIRAD Networks, and the other one is NASA's FireSense initiative. So DIRAD Network has like a Silver Guard drone, which uses AI drones to gather environmental data. And NASA has like FireSense project, which uses AI drones to like gather environmental data, which improves from detection and predicts modeling. And two of the key theories that support AI drones, predictive modeling theory is used by the predictive modeling theory. Oh, wait, yeah. So the predictive modeling theory, which uses AI to predict fire behavior, and remote sensing theory, which uses infrared sensors to monitor hotspots. Now, coming to my methodology and results. So, for my data analysis, I used reliable sources like NASA and like peer-reviewed studies. And I also compared drone performance with traditional methods like satellites and ground systems. So, my results were that the first one was detection rate, where the drones would show a 95% detection rate, which would be higher than satellite systems, which were 70 to 80%. And the second one was real-time data, where drones provided real-time data and accessed remote areas. And some of my significant findings were improved accuracy, where drones outperformed traditional methods in detection accuracy. And my last one is AI prediction, where AI powered predictions improve response strategies. So to conclude, to restate my main research question, which I mainly followed throughout my paper, was AI drones. Can AI drones improve wildfire detection and management over traditional methods? And through my research, I compared AI drones to traditional wildfire detection tools like satellites and ground sensors, and I found out that drones offer real-world benefits, which include higher detection accuracy, access to remote areas, and real-time data, which improve responsible strategies. And some of the limitations I went through during my research paper was, like I said before, there wasn't that many research or like any statistics that I could like strongly use. Whenever I would like search for AI powered drones, I would normally get like articles on how AI powered drones would like deliver packages instead of like the benefits it could help. And some other limitations I went through is the drone itself because of battery, weather, and cost issues that are really important with real world scenarios. Thank you. And I would also like to thank my professors, Professor Kay and Professor Monica, for helping me throughout this process. They gave me a lot of important resources and a lot of feedback, which really helped me throughout the process. I would also like to thank Gifted Gabber because they helped me stay organized and helped me come to the spot I am right now. So thank you.
Excellent. Great job. I'm going to, Professor Monica, a question for Ishanvi. Welcome, Professor Monica.
Hi, great job. One of the things I wanted to ask is, what were you so, I guess, surprised about the research that you found? Did anything surprise you?
During my research, I thought it was very interesting that the AI-powered drones, they have like both, they can sense whether the forests are like heating up, and then they can like go and power it out and like water it out so they can cool out the forest. I thought that was really cool. Because I didn't expect that to actually happen because I thought like there would be like some ground sensors on the forest. I didn't think that drones can also do that.
A good point.
Amazing. Yeah, very nice. Professor Kate, a question for Ishanvi.
Okay. While we were working on your paper, I know you were like having some troubles in the data that you wanted. But if you were, since this is just a secondary data, a research, if you were to conduct a primary research on this, how would you want to go about the study?
I would really go more into like the stats and the data because I didn't have that much, so I would research more about that so I can get like my hypothesis more correctly.
Excellent. Excellent. Very proud of her. She also has another cause area or a passion project that she's working on. She's also building a kindness bot for her college applications, where the bot is going to be trained to figure out if a bunch of messages on a post qualify to be like bullying or not. So she's also working on that. So congratulations, Ishandi, a very, very interesting topic. And thanks for sharing. Okay, so next up, let's go with Sneha. Sneha?
Hello.
Okay, let me just pin you. Hold on a minute. Yeah, go ahead, Han.
Let me just share my screen. All right, can everyone see?
It's coming up.
All right.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Hold on a minute. Do you want to present and then present? Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I'm about to hit present. Yeah, just 1 second. I think it's being a little bit slow.
Okay.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Sneha, and I was part of the AI research program under Dr. Sava and Professor K. I researched the impacts of AI and how we can combat political cyber attacks within the United States with this technology. And yeah, so while I was researching, I definitely had a few different research questions in mind that I really was curious about and really wanted to investigate more. So a few of those questions were, what kind of cyber attacks does the US even get politically? And how big of an impact do these cyber attacks really even have? Are they even really a problem? I think that cyber attacks definitely have been shown a little bit more in the news in recent years because they've grown in prevalence. So that's why I wanted to investigate this. And while I was researching, I found a few really cool facts that I want to share with everyone. For example, cybercrime has actually grown into an industry worth $1.5 trillion, and distributed denial of service attacks have actually targeted political parties even more as we get closer to elections. So they're definitely starting to have a bigger political impact. All right, so while I was researching, I used a few different methods of gathering the data and the research. So for example, I wanted to make sure that I actually had credible sources and that had academic backgrounds and were like backed by professors and stuff. So I decided to use Google Scholar to find a bunch of academic studies. And I also used artificial intelligence to kind of give me some introductory knowledge into the topic. Right. So after I found my research through Google Scholar and artificial intelligence, I found a few really cool things that I want to share through my literature review. First off, I learned that machine learning methods can actually counter threats like phishing, deepfakes, and misinformation, and AI can actually forecast and predict future attacks. And with AI, what that means is that you can actually predict all these political cyber attacks that are coming in so that we can make sure that elections keep running smoothly without the attacks disrupting them. And here are a few more of my findings. For example, I found that during elections, there's a lot of phishing emails where basically you'll get some hackers sending random voters emails with a lot of misinformation to kind of sway them or push them to vote for another candidate over someone else. And that can definitely impact democratic processes like elections by taking away everyone's fair right to speak and their equal voice. And through a few AI methods like random forest or supervised machine learning, you're actually able to detect these phishing emails with really high levels of accuracy. And with that, we can actually keep these elections going on smoothly. Obviously, I think a bigger thing that we need to look at is how can the government actually help us respond to these cyber attacks? There's a lot of things that people can do by looking at emails and looking for signs that, okay, this isn't a real email, this is phishing. But with AI, the government can do a lot more. And a few of those things are, first off, shifting their cybersecurity stance to be more proactive versus reactive. In the past, the US has just been like, okay, as these attacks come, we're going to respond to them. But now we're starting to take a more proactive stance by trying to counter them and predict them before they're here so that we can actually find them. And the White House is actually starting to invest in AI research. We also have a few laws like the Cyber Incident Reporting for Critical Infrastructure Act. And here are the results. Applied to political cyber attacks, I found that a lot of methods powered by artificial intelligence actually have the ability to detect and counter cyber threats. And things like language learning models powered by neural networks can actually interpret human language online and on the black web to make sure that there's not any attacks that are going to come in and attack us. But if there are, we can actually predict and respond to them before they have a big impact. And this is all because of artificial intelligence. I did have a few limitations that I encountered both while researching and for the paper in general. First off, artificial intelligence is evolving at a massive rate. That means that whatever we find this month might not actually be true for the next month or the month after that. And the current information and data that we have in the papers now might become outdated soon, so that's something to look out for. But also, this paper and a lot of different things that use AI don't actually account for ethical perspectives against it. For example, when we have AI in voting systems to kind of detect attacks, we might accidentally compromise citizen and voter data to these artificial intelligence technologies, and that might not be the most ethical way to go about doing things. So in conclusion, my contributions were through conducting a literary review of existing AI methods and looking at their impacts on cyber attacks to see how can we actually counter and detect these attacks. And also, because of this paper, it'll be easier to identify trends within cyber attacks and within AI so that we can find better solutions for these attacks. My recommendations from this research are that we improve and expand legislation regulating deepfake technology, and that we also incorporate the uses of identification technologies such as biometrics to better authenticate viewers so that people don't have their identities stolen and there's not as many cyber attacks. Here are my references. And does anyone have any questions? Oh, before this, I really want to thank Professor K and Dr. Sava for all the help that I got throughout both the group sessions and in the solo sessions I got a lot of really good advice. I also want to thank Gifted Gabber because I think without Gifted Gabber, I wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to participate in this research and learn as much as I did. So that's another thing I want to thank them for. And also, I'd like to thank all of my classmates because I think I definitely got a lot of really good feedback from them during the sessions, and I want to say thank you for that. Any questions?
Yeah, excellent. You can stop sharing so that I can bring Professor Sava on the screen. Great presentation. Love your passion and your drive. Keep at it. Okay, Professor Sava.
Well, we both determined that this is a very complicated topic. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things to discuss. It's not really straightforward. And you did mention how fast this stuff's moving. And, maybe not a month, maybe by tomorrow. So it's, everything you write is also changing. Tell me a little bit more, because we talked about, too, the ethics involved with some of your recommendations and some of the issues involved in just this. People don't think about this the privacy, the ethics, the transparency. They see this as a threat, they see the damage, but they don't think enough about that. What did you find out, or what
I
would you
think
like to say about that?
more so beyond like what I found out through research, I think a lot of us can actually observe this within our daily lives. Like with the advent of these AI technologies like ChatGPT, for example, I think people are kind of disregarding like the ethical kind of risks of it, or like what they stand to lose. Like they stand to lose all of their data or have it all compromised. But AI just makes things so convenient and so cool and easy that people are just kind of either they ignore it or they just don't know about it, and you're trying to see people choose AI over protecting their data. And I think that's what's going to happen with a lot of these like AI driven responses to cyber threats. We're going to kind of put the ethical risks aside because AI offers so much more of a benefit in attacking or countering these threats.
Excellent. Okay, so let's have a question from Professor Kate.
Okay, well, we were like going into your paper. Do you think this is more on like a first world problem, not on a third world kind of thing? What do you think?
Yeah, I think I actually remember we had like that conversation about like how it impacts like other countries. And I'm actually like working on putting that within my paper right now, like how it impacts like Philippines, how it impacts India. And to answer your question, no, I don't think that it's only a first world problem. I think we're already starting to see like AI cyber attacks and deep fakes start to attack countries all around the world. Like we're seeing it in the Philippines elections, we're seeing it in India's elections, we're seeing it in a lot of different countries' elections, no matter like what their socioeconomic status is. So the faster we start to find solutions to these, I think the better for everyone.
Very good.
Okay, fantastic. So two questions for Sneha and also Ishanvi, who's already presented. We want you to learn from each other and ask relevant questions and learn from them. So great job. Let's get ahead. Next up, we have Chetan. Chetan, are you here?
Oh, yeah, I'm here.
Okay, let me just. Did you turn on your video so that I can you?
Oh, yeah, here.
Yeah, there you go. Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Can you see my screen?
Yes. Why don't I see a present screen there? I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, you got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Chetan Drew, and today I'm going to be talking about the impact of artificial intelligence on the stock market. But before we talk about that, I would like to introduce myself more to you guys. Right now, I'm currently 15 years old, and I'm a 10th grader studying at Lambert High School in Sewanee, Georgia. Currently, I'm majoring in business, and the reason why I chose this topic was because I'm learning about the stock market in my business class, and it made me very interested in this topic. I've been investigating how AI affects the stock market, and some of the questions that I aim to answer are: how has AI algorithmic trading influenced market efficiency, and how do AI-driven platforms affect investor confidence and market participation rates? And basically, what this means is, how has AI affected the stock market as a whole, and how has it affected the people who are doing it, such as traders and investors? And at first, these questions may not seem like important at all, but they actually are very important because they show the steps and potential risks and benefits involved in the AI in the stock market, and it'll help us understand how it works. The objective of my research is to figure out how AI is infused into the stock market and basically what it does as a whole. For my literature review, I have found that multiple leading hedge funds, which basically just means multiple like trading industries, such as Citadel, WorldQuant, and Freestone Grove, have been actively incorporating AI into their investment strategies, as well as they've also been making chatbots, which is basically just ChatGPT, Gemini, to help aid people who are starting to like use it for like making accounts and stuff. And they've also been using it to, what is this? They've also been using it to organize all the vast amounts of data they have, and they're using it to enhance their investor productivity, which basically means enhancing how many people use it. However, there's also a problem of over-reliance on AI as emphasizing the necessity of human judgment because I read a study about how AI, one time someone left AI alone for 30 seconds on the stock market, and through recordings, they found that the stock market dropped within that time. And it was very shocking because it showed just how much AI couldn't be trusted since it's still young and it's still maturing. For my results, the main results I found of how AI affects the stock market have basically just been enhanced market efficiency and how much better AI is at predicting than humans are. And it also makes it very easy to access trading tools. My significant findings are also about how AI has made the stock market just cleaner and easier to use. It has made it both more efficient and accurate. However, one of the biggest problems is that for veterans of the stock market and other regulators, it makes it much harder to use. However, there's also the process of the new generation of people using the stock market is much easier since we're all much more attuned to AI. So in conclusion, to answer the question how AI has affected the stock market, AI has made the stock market a much more manageable and easier place to go through. And it has also made it harder for veterans to use, but has made it easier for other people to use. Through my research, I've successfully tied AI into the stock market, and I've shown the advantages and disadvantages of AI in the market. Some limitations of my work have basically just been the continuous watch I've had to do on the stock market as it's changing daily, and it's been very hard to just like keep it all in check and record it to keep it all accurate. Another thing that's been hard is just my lack of data, as AI to the stock market isn't relatively new, but there aren't a lot of research on it. So I've been having to like scour around the internet to like find it. Thank you for listening. Oh, and also I would like to thank Dr. Monica Sava and Professor Kay Diaz for helping me create this presentation. As I remember before, when I made the rough draft for this presentation, it was just there was a picture on every slide. There was just a bunch of data. It was very bland looking. There wasn't like a lot of I was talking very fast and like it was just very different looking. But thanks to them, I was able to make this. It's much more cleaner and smoother, and there's just a lot more info, and it just looks a lot easier on the eyes. So thank you very much.
Yeah, amazing. You want to stop sharing so that I can get Professor Sawa to ask you a question? Great job. Very nice topic and a relevant one. It's not just colleges. It's always very nice to see teens following their passion and their interest. So keep up with it. Professor Sawa, a question for Chetan.
Sure. So you discussed the positive and negative impacts of this, but regardless of those two things, we all know, and as you demonstrated, how much this is now being used by investors. So because this is being used by investors, do you think that the behavior of investors now is going to have an impact overall? What do you think that impact is going to be?
Yes, I do think this will impact investors, and I honestly don't know if this will impact other investors in a good way or a bad way, as AI is still shaping the future and it's still too early to decide any of that. But I would like to think that it is going to shape it in a good way more than bad. So yeah.
Excellent. Professor K, a question for Chetan.
Chetan, okay. Congratulations on your paper. I would like to ask, like, based on your research, would you actually recommend the use of AI for beginning investors?
I would not, only because AI, you need to manage it like at all times. And if you're not like super serious in the stock market at a point, then I wouldn't do it. Because like for new investors, you may not be super invested in it and you may just like slip out the AI and then AI may just like do something that you don't want. So I feel like the only way you want to use AI is if you're prepared to constantly look at it and keep it in check.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you for sharing. I just want to remind everybody that you're talking to high schoolers. Doesn't seem like it, right? So it's wonderful, amazing. Keep up the good work, but continue with it. Your research doesn't end here. We want you to go and create a lot of AI models out there and smash the market and become a billionaire. We want you to do it. Well,
Okay, thank you.
okay, so next up, let's go with Abhinav. Abhinav, are you ready?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, let me just, yeah, go ahead.
Share just. Can you see this?
It's opening up. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so my name's Abhinav Kaluri. I'm a 10th grader at West Forsyth High School in Cumming, Georgia. My research program or my research topic this year was AI-based safety features, especially in the automotive industry. My research question was, what are like the big advantages and the ethical concerns of just AI-based safety features in the automotive industry? So some background information is like AI has really been growing recently, especially in the automotive industry. We've seen so many different types of AI. We've seen lane keeping, so we stay on the same lane and we don't have to touch the steering wheel. We've seen autonomous driving. We've seen where the car brakes for us by itself. And while all of these are really helpful for us and really advantageous for human drivers, it can also bring ethical concerns. And that's what my essay is talking about, where can we measure the pros and cons between these two and how will it weigh out? So the types of safety features that I explored in mine was autonomous braking, adaptive cruise control, lane keeping assistance, blind spot monitoring, driver monitoring systems, and autonomous parking assistant. All of these are the major types of AI safety that's being used currently. All of these have been very substantial when it comes to making sure we don't have accidents. It's make sure that there's a lot of more safe cars on the road and made sure that there is a lot more safety when we are driving. And the benefits of AI, the biggest things are accident prevention. There have been a significant amount of less accidents that have happened due to AI being able to predict where to go, when to go, and how to react to stuff that happens on the road. And then also enhanced driver assistance. There's been a lot of stuff like autopilot, like autonomous braking, autonomous steering. This has all helped the driver on the road reduce his stress or her stress, made sure they're able to be comfortable while driving, but also make sure they're having their own control, make sure they're okay with how the traffic is going. And also a big thing with AI now is it can improve traffic efficiency, not just in the cars, but also in the traffic lights. A lot of traffic lights nowadays are using AI to know when to put a green light or when to put a red light based on the traffic that's been happening throughout the day. This is helpful because we won't have huge traffic jams as frequently anymore. And it's a lot quicker and a lot more stable for people to get to their jobs quick, get somewhere quickly. And also adaptability. AI can adapt like crazy. It's so fast on how fast it learns. It can know one thing one day and then it can learn an entire new algorithm the next day, just so it's safer for us. And it's also always improving, making sure we're at the best of our ability and it's the best of its ability. And also AI in general has reduced human error. In general, accidents are mostly caused because of human errors, such as someone being tired driving the car. AI never gets tired. AI never makes a mistake unless it's not coded in properly. So AI knows what it's doing and it can also be the best possible thing. And sometimes at the point that we're at right now, AI might surpass what a human can do and do it better than what a human can do. And then obviously not everything has all advantages. There's also concerns like liability. If someone is driving and an AI car crashes into them that has no driver, what are we supposed to do? Who is at fault for that? And also data privacy. Recently, Tesla employees were caught sending information from other cars because they saw because there's a Tesla camera inside, and they were able to find pictures and send them to other people, which is a very big data privacy. Would you want that is a big question, because that camera is used for autopilot, but when people are taking pictures of you and you don't know it, is that really worth it? And then also the bias in AI decision making. AI has been coded to do one thing, so it could take a certain turn when we want it to go another way, and we can't tell much to change it. So that's a problem. And then also one big thing that's really been happening recently is the over-reliance on AI. Drivers obviously are becoming too dependent on AI. AI isn't perfect yet. It will still make mistakes, and it's our job as humans to make sure it doesn't make those mistakes. AI is going to learn from us. So if we're not paying attention, it can't learn, which means it's going to keep making those mistakes. And then the biggest thing, in my opinion, is the cost and accessibility of AI-based safety features in cars. Obviously, AI is a growing industry, and it's getting more expensive because of the cost to find and produce all that AI safety features. And for less accessible or lower income families, it's really hard for them to just buy the car because of how expensive AI is becoming. Obviously, I think in the future it will get cheaper, but for right now, it's very hard to buy that kind of car because of the expense that we have to pay for it. And then obviously the impact on others, the consumer impact, obviously it's amazing for us. It's really helpful. It's making sure we're safe, but also we have to make sure that we trust the car. We trust the AI safety features that are built in. We have to trust the company, making sure that they put the car in the best capable or best hands possible. And then also the automobile manufacturer, they can't just put all of the AI in there and then have no other safety features like airbags, like brake systems. These are all needed for the AI to properly function. And I think automobile manufacturers have to manage that properly. And then also regulators. These people have to make sure that every single thing in the car is put safely. And also they have to make sure they establish fair guidelines. If a car is fully AI, it's very hard for the human to depend on it. Recently, Audi, they made a car where there's no steering wheel, which raises a concern where, are we okay with that? Because we have no control if the car goes haywire. And then also, AI has not been very good at accounting for pedestrians, accounting for other drivers. It is trying to go in it the fastest way possible for the owner of the car only. But it has to be able to be capable for every single person on the road, every single item on the road. And then also insurance companies, they need to be able to adapt their policies just because of the fact that AI is also driving the car now. It's not just the human. So how they want to do it is their thought process is like, how would we want to change it so we know that people are going to be in control of their car, but also make sure AI is keeping the car safe. And then my conclusion, AI obviously offers like an immense potential in this industry to reduce accidents, improve driver convenience. But we also have to make sure before that happens, we have to make sure we think of the ethical concerns or challenges, like the liability, the privacy, the fairness that's going into making these cars. And also, as AI technology evolves, it's crucial that we balance innovation with ethical considerations. We have to ensure everyone is safe on the roads at all times, but we want to also make sure everyone is keeping their privacy private while we are also all together as one, making sure we're safe. Thank you.
Amazing. You want to stop sharing and I'm sorry. Yeah, you stop sharing. You want to share your experience about the program?
My experience with the program, I really liked it. I found it really helpful. Dr. Sava has done a really good job of explaining all the stuff. And really, when we've asked a lot of questions, I think she's always been there to help us out. Same with Professor Kay. She's always been there when we needed help. I could email both of them and they would always be available. And then whenever we joined the class, they would always be there ready to and like eager to learn and teach us as well, which I thought was really helpful.
Amazing. Thank you. A question from Dr. Sava.
Sure. I love your topic. It's interesting, it's fun, it's changing, and it's important. So when an AI system that you described has to make a split-second decision that could either harm, right, or save a driver or a pedestrian, but let's say it harms them. Oh, who should be held responsible? Is it going to be the manufacturer, the programmer, or AI itself?
So when I was thinking, when I was doing my research, that was one of my big concerns. And I was like thinking, and when I was thinking about it, I was like, it should, in my opinion, be the driver's fault, because at the end of the day, it's the driver's job to make sure the car is going properly. Even in a Tesla, if you've ever been in one, it says keep your hands on the wheel. Every 30 seconds, it's telling you to move the wheel, so it knows that you're there and paying attention, making sure that you can make that split section decision that it can't.
Okay.
Okay. One question from Professor K.
Okay, hi Abby. We have heard from the news that driverless trucks have already been on a roll. Now, when you heard of this one, what concerns you the most based on what you know about the status of AI safety in driving?
My concerns is mainly because trucks are a lot different to drive than cars. So it's going to be a completely new atmosphere that the AI has to learn. So that's one of my biggest concerns, is that how fast is it going to adapt to truck driving? Because a car driving is not the same. And so the AI that they're using in a car, I don't know if they can transfer it over to the truck. Is that possible? And like that. But I do have a lot of benefits. Like a big problem with trucks, especially, is the truck driver can't see the car in front of them because it's too small, and they run it. With cameras in the semi or in the trucks, the cameras can see that for sure, so that it's a lot less prone to make that accident. So there's the pros and cons, obviously.
Thank you.
Excellent. Very interesting topic. And of course, AI is everywhere, and automobiles as well. And it's very hard to imagine you being a high schooler and being so passionate about it. Keep at it. Great job. This is just the beginning, and we want you to continue doing wonderful things. So thank you and congratulations. Let's go with Meghna. Meghna, are you here? Meghna. Oh yeah, I'm gonna pin you. I
Hi,
found
can
you.
you see me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead, honey.
Oh, wait. Hold on. I'm gonna share my screen real quickly.
Yeah. But you turned off your video. We want your video on.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll turn that back on.
No problem. Yeah.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Meghna Govind, and I'll be talking to you about AI multimodal data to detect early signs of schizophrenia. Okay, so a little about me is that I'm a freshman at Round Rock High School in Austin, Texas. So before we dive in to the introduction, here's a quick overview of everything I'll be talking about and covering. So from the methodology, then the introduction to schizophrenia, AI multimodals application, and possible limitations to this research. Okay, so methodology, I was able to create a strong basis for how AI multimodal data can actually detect early signs of schizophrenia through a systematic literature review. So going through PubMed, Mayo Clinic, American Psychiatric Association, and a lot more helped me create a grounded hypothesis and a well-lit research paper. So, introduction, what is schizophrenia? Schizophrenia is a neurological disorder that disrupts a person's ability to process, act, and behave, leading to hallucinations, delusions, or difficulties in thinking or speech. So, on a world spectrum, approximately 24 million people around the world are diagnosed, and it's most prevalent in late adolescents or young adults around the age 18 to 30 years old. And there is actually expected to be more cases besides 24 million people, is just because that a lot of people with schizophrenia don't realize that they have the disease, or they're just unable to get the cure or like the care they need. Because a lot of times what happens is that there's social pressures and isolation that tends to happen. Okay, so causes is a genetics. Genetics is very prominent in schizophrenia. So siblings or children who are diagnosed are at a higher risk of it. And so factors like malnutrition during prenatal periods or also like during infancy when you're exposed to like certain viruses can also affect brain development. Additionally, physiological changes or stress like poverty and danger can affect um, patients and be a leading factor in the future. So a really big symptom is psychosis, which is where patients lose their touch to reality due to a disturbance in brain processing information. So patients experience false realities or in a way like they can't differentiate between real and not real, which changes the personalities for a period of time. Yeah, okay. So my overall goal of this research is to break the stigma associated with uh, schizophrenia through AI. So, the greatest challenge faced by individuals with schizophrenia is the huge mental toll it has on them. So, it's a widespread misconception that people with schizophrenia are violent and dangerous. And as a result, many people living with schizophrenia experience serious human rights violations. So, not only within their communities, but also in healthcare facilities, which they should be feeling safe in. This can cause people to hesitate to get the care they need. This discrimination can also affect relationships between families and friends, limit access to healthcare, and create barriers to basic needs like education, housing, and employment. The constant stress and isolation from being misunderstood or mistreated actually worsens their condition due to the stress, and it creates a negative feedback loop, making the recovery process for them a lot harder. So, unfortunately, this leads to a lot of them suffering in silence, increasing a risk of suicide, anxiety, social isolation, and getting victimized. So, this raises the question, is schizophrenia killing or is society? So, this made me dive deeper and come up with my research topic, which is AI multimodal data. And so, with that, we can accurately detect early signs of schizophrenia, giving patients the treatment they need um, before symptoms become severe and they face like social pressures and isolation. So how does AI do this? AI can do this through multimodal data, and I decided to train data based on four major aspects. So eye tracking can be used to diagnose schizophrenic patients as they tend to have trouble actually following objects with their eyes. So instead, they usually tend to jump around instead of having a smooth flow. Structural MRI scanning can detect loss in brain tissue associated with schizophrenia, as well as functional MRI can detect connectivity disnormalities between the brain and the signaling through cognitive testing like memory recall or movement. So, by viewing a patient's family genetics as well, we can create a strong basis for diagnosis. It increases AI's accuracy to correctly detect early signs and decreases the risk of getting severe symptoms that can negatively impact their lives. So this is true, but AI also comes with limitations. So ethical concerns are also a really big one when it comes to this type of machine learning because it collects sensitive data like facial expressions, genetic data, and brain signs and signals. So which can make a person like feel that data or AI is not that trustworthy. Also, discrimination. A model needs to be exposed to a lot of data in order to be accurate. But again, models are not 100% accurate all the time, which is just like reality. So untrained data models can actually have a risk of getting false diagnosis, and false positives can cause physiological stress or self-stigma in people who are misdiagnosed and who actually don't have schizophrenia. So multimodal data also feeds off of training and exposure of lots of data. So however, this data can be trained on, if data is trained on a non-diverse data set, it can affect the way the data is performed, and it can be inaccurate, leading to biases of different populations or minorities. So, however, through a lot of training, data can actually show promise in accuracy and improvement to potentially detect signs of schizophrenia and give patients the care they need when symptoms are still manageable. So, this gives them an overall happier and healthier recovery process and removes the stigma of fear, isolation, and silence in treatment many people face today around the world. And thank you.
Wonderful. You want to share your experience? Stop sharing the screen and talk about your experience. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I'd really like to thank Dr. Sava and Professor Cave and Gifted Gabber for giving me this amazing opportunity and helping me accomplish an amazing milestone in my life, because research is really hard to get and again hard to do. So seeing how passionate you guys were and dedicated to help us out and also like during this course really inspired me to move forward and to help me out and accomplish this. So I thank you guys so much for that.
Amazing. Professor Sava, let me just pin her. Yeah, a question for Meghna.
Sure. I could ask you a million questions on this one. I'll just pick one. Well, first, but like actually, I guess it's a double-edged sword here. How fast do you think this is to actually rolling out right now and actually being used?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, I've seen a lot of like papers right now going over multi-modeling data, but it's very short and concise. Not putting in a lot of factors. I feel like putting these ones can actually change the perspective of how people see schizophrenic people and can also help them a lot in the process. Like through all that mental impact they get on them, it can create a more positive impact for them. So I definitely want to try and, show this out to the world and hopefully change their perspective as well. So I'm hoping to see a lot of progression in the future.
Just out of curiosity too, when you mentioned the fact that somebody could actually diagnose somebody with schizophrenia that doesn't actually have schizophrenia, because this is not 100% accurate. Like, do you see, or you should be involved with ethical safeguards for this? Because I think if you're involved more with the ethical safeguards, or you're right about that in the future, that'll actually help this also roll out to the population. Because I think part of it too is people's fear that that's going to be used and it's going to have an error. And, there are no safeguards associated with it. So anyway, good job.
Yeah, thank you. I definitely try like exposing the multimodal data to a lot of patients and to a lot of data could just help accuracy. And I mean, through accuracy, I could feel like creates credibility as well. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's very nice the way you've married mental health with AI. I mean, it's like very innovative and interesting. Okay, so a question from Professor Key. Let me just see where she is so I can. Yes, Professor Key.
Hi, Megan.
Bye.
Okay. Oh, well, this is AI and machine learning, and it learns more on the data, right? Um, what was the biggest clinical trials or research that you were able to find regarding people with schizophrenia?
So diagnosis, so there's actually no cure and like really well diagnosed like methods for schizophrenia. So a lot of it's just through um like behavioral aspects like, oh, are you feeling like you have hallucinations or delusions, then you're schizophrenic. There's also like MRI scanning, but again, it's not as accurate just doing it alone because brain tissue loss is not only associated with schizophrenia, it's also a lot of other things. So I was searching on the internet just like where I could find multimodal data to help me prove my hypothesis and create like accuracy. And I saw that it incorporated like MRI as well as like cognitive. But then I was just like, it had about a 75% accuracy. So I definitely wanted to add accuracy to that. And so that's why I incorporated family genetics and yeah, and like more MRI, like functional and structural MRI scannings.
Okay, great job, Meghna. Thank you for sharing. Please continue with this wonderful line of research. Okay, so let's go with Shiv Shankar. Are you here, Shiv Shankar? No, Shiv Shankar's not. Pradyum or Elisa, you want to go ahead?
Hi.
You're here. Okay, great. Let me just go. Wait, I know you're from somewhere. You do go to the Downingtown School, right?
Yes, I go to Downingtown East.
Great. Which grade are you?
I'm in 11th grade right now.
Okay, a junior. Okay, wonderful. Okay, go ahead.
Can you see my screen all right?
Yes.
Right, great. So, my topic is artificial intelligence and using artificial intelligence in understanding autism. So, here's a little bit about me. As I've mentioned quite literally 10 seconds ago, uh, I go to Downingtown East High School. I'm 17 years old and in the 11th grade. And my name's Pradyun Kandagatla. So a little introduction before we go into the main stuff. Autism spectrum disorder actually affects 1 in 36 children in the US. Um, and early and accurate diagnosis is absolutely crucial when it comes to developmental outcomes. So we can go against the autism and like it won't have as much of a challenging childhood or growth. Um, the assessments or diagnoses that we use now are quite time consuming and they're not the most accurate in the world. Um, Artificial intelligence really paves the way for very reliable diagnosis and much faster diagnosis. This presentation is going to explore what's happened in recent times, some ethical challenges, and the future possibilities that we have using AI. AI's emerging role in autism care. So it enables a large-scale analysis of behavioral and neurological data. So it can go into like thousands of data sets and really uh, analyze what's really happening with this child or this person's mind. So we can get to the bottom of it and help them and help us understand autism and how to take care of it. So there's machine learning, deep learning, and natural language processing. And all of these are like tools that would help us essentially understand autism and use AI to make them so effective. So the methodology that I used was I would look at recent peer-reviewed studies from 2015 to 2023 and looking for an intersection between AI and autism. I would use PubMed, Google Scholar, JSTOR, ScienceDirect, and institutions like Stanford and MIT to get my research articles. So I can have some trust in that these articles are going to be very informational and useful for me. So some things that I put in mind when looking for articles was AI implications in ASD diagnosis, articles addressing any ethical, social, or developmental considerations, and English language peer reviewed publications. Obviously, if there was in any other language, I would not be able to understand it. The type of approach I took when analyzing each of these articles, I would see how the findings were categorized into diagnosis, therapy, ethical issues, and future directions. And I would look at their own methodologies, see how they went by their research. And the purpose of all of this is to really see the gaps in equity, inclusiveness, and ethical accountability within AI-driven ASD research. So we could use AI in early detection, and we could make so much out of it. We could look at large amounts of data without taking probably many, many months or even years to go through so much data. We could get it done in a matter of minutes. And now this is all hypothetical, and this is what I believe after reading all of these articles. Tools like machine learning and deep learning and natural language processing really helps with AI and detection. And AI and behavioral and social interventions. Robots and virtual agents help children with ASD learn social cues and emotional recognition. An example that I found, which I really enjoyed reading about, was QT Robot, and it improves imitation and engagement with kids with autism, and it essentially gives like a real life situation, and it'll give like real time feedback as well, and it really helps these children because sometimes people don't really have the patience to go through education with children with autism. So using AI, they don't necessarily have, like AI doesn't have any patience to lose. So with this, they can go for as long as they need to, and still it would be just as effective. So we can use AI for neuroimaging and predictive modeling. AI can enhance the interpretation of fMRI and EEG scans to uncover any ASD like specific neural activity. So we can access it and identify early in the development stages of children. And we could go on about that, how to plan around um, the autism, the diagnosis, and how to take care of that. So there are many ethical concerns concerning AI in autism care. So there is a lot of bias. Usually the research that has been done so far has been with either middle class to fairly wealthy children, and it was entirely in the Western Hemisphere. There was no poorer countries doing research on this, and so different environments could easily affect how this autism is cared. So going in the Western side, it doesn't really give an overall view on how the world would treat autism. And there's a lot of problems and ethical concerns with privacy. Using videos, voice, and health data from minors would raise a lot of concerns, and which really is what limiting a lot of research. And consent is also very important. Um, it's really hard to get consent from children with autism, and like they may not understand that we are trying to help them and we are trying to uh, essentially use their knowledge, whatever they have, for the better of all others. And parents may not be comfortable with giving their children to any like labs, just in case that like these labs may harm their child, which is fully understandable as like it's your child, it's your responsibility. And we could also be over reliant on AI. And this automation it could totally lead to misdiagnosis, and we could plan way differently than it should be, which could cause even more problems in the near future. So the equity and accessibility of this was these AI tools should be accessible across socioeconomic and geographic groups. So they should be accessible all around the world, and um, it should be accessible to everyone around the world, not just to middle class to high class. It should be accessible to lower income families as well. The future directions that we could go with this is we could get clinicians, data scientists, and families to collaborate and essentially move forward with AI research. We have to focus on human-centered AI, and we need more regulations where this research would be ethical no matter what. And my conclusion, AI has the potential to revolutionize autism care. It could change the whole scape of autism and really help us understand what every single kid is going through. The success is obviously going to depend on the ethical design, the inclusiveness, and transparency. So now it would be more successful if we had everyone around the world have an opportunity to essentially use this tool. And the goal really is to augment, not replace, just show human insight and autism understanding so that we can use the information that we get from AI to better understand rather than using that AI understanding and just putting it forward. We could use that AI understanding to understand and essentially put our minds together and get a much better understanding and research for autism care. The limitations were the data sets were biased as there wasn't much diverse research. And since this is a relatively new research, there's no really long-term results. There's only short-term results. And ethical issues were often ignored. And as fast as this research is coming, the tech is evolving even faster. So it's very hard to keep up with research, especially when technology is evolving so fast. I'd like to give a heartfelt thanks to Dr. Sava for providing me with so much information on artificial intelligence. I've been able to understand the information that I have had to read so much better because she has taught me so much. I would also like to thank Professor Diaz for teaching me how to write a research paper. Even though I did write a research paper before this, I still learned so much from her. And no matter what, it always feels like a daunting task. So with her help, it was so much better. And I would like to thank Gifted Gabbers and Coach Joe for giving me the opportunity to write this paper at this age. As Coach Joe was saying, we're all only high schoolers. So writing a research paper and talking about all this research is such a great opportunity for us. And finally, I'd like to thank my family for supporting my entire journey and helping me focus on this research, no matter how many bumps were on the way. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you for your Oscar speech. I'm just kidding. It is really good. You're so passionate. I know my son keeps talking about you. My younger son and he go to the same school. My younger one is a senior. He's off to college. So I live vicariously through these kids. Professor Sava, a question for him.
Sure. I mean, you basically showed through even just your enthusiasm of this topic and AI and everything else, what a positive impact this is going to have. But explain to me more why you think AI is going to have a benefit over the traditional methods. What does it give us over the traditional methods?
So I believe, and there was some research proving this, using AI, we could go through data sets and neural activity and MRI scans, and we could go through each slice so much faster using AI and detecting any anomalies in neural activity rather than manually going through each and every slice and file. So this could be automated and done much faster rather than going through each one manually. So now we could save even more people and care for even more people much faster in less amount of time rather than focusing on one case for weeks on end. Thank you.
Excellent. Professor K, a question for Pradyum.
Hi, Pradyum.
Hi.
Well, we were trying to narrow your research topics. We were considering a lot of cases, but you finally decided to focus in on autism. Why autism out of all those we were trying to look into?
This is actually a rather personal story.
Oh,
Yeah. While I was in India in March, I had visited the school, and it was a government school, so the situation was rather bad. And I actually met this kid with Down syndrome, and I when I met him, he wanted to say so much to us, and I mean, he just couldn't. I like I was when I saw that, I was like, I have to help with this. I I need to research. Like, I've gotten such a passion for it now after seeing it in person and in like the first person view, and I was like, you know what? This is what I want to do. I really want to help children with autism because I see them working so hard, yet they don't get much credit for it, and they just like they're often just tossed to the side. So that's what really drove my topic. Um, yeah.
really,
Excellent.
really nice. Thank
Sorry?
you. Really, really nice. Thank you. I was wondering why you made that decision. We knew we were still struggling to pick a topic, and then
Yeah.
you decided to go on that. I didn't know the backstory.
Yeah, it was
Congratulations.
perfect timing, really.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And if you're applying to Stanford, that should be your intellectual curiosity essay. You need to write about it. And Professor K here, she edits our essay. So she knows she will make sure everything is like super perfect. So intellectual curiosity, demonstrating intellectual curiosity is super important. That's the number one thing that admission officers tell me when I meet them. As a college counselor, I have to visit colleges and speak to admission officers, and they say the way you demonstrate intellectual curiosity is through research, having a passion and pursuing it, and like tangible, measurable outcome, right? So yes, we want to see your model get developed, your paper get published, get your Python certification as well. Okay, it's going to look great on your college application. Okay,
Thank you so
so
much.
yeah, take care now. Let's go with Eliza. Eliza, you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so let's go. Yeah.
It's visible?
Yeah, it is. Go ahead.
So, hello, my name is Elisa Basola, and I'm a sophomore at Clovis North High School in California. And my paper is based on the impact of AI on healthcare efficiency in diagnosis. So I want to start off with saying, why does my research paper matter? Why should this impact, why do you want to take time out of your life to just look at my paper? So AI can save multiple lives by detecting many diseases early, and it can improve hospital efficiency. But however, privacy, bias, and ethical risks need to be addressed when using AI. My project explores both the benefits and the challenges to ensure that AI enhances healthcare responsibly. So what really is AI? AI enables machines to learn, analyze data, and make decisions. Machine learning improves AI performance over time, while deep learning processes complex data using neural networks. AI also has a really nice role in healthcare. AI can enhance disease detection, treatment planning, and hospital efficiency by analyzing large medical data sets. And AI can really help you cut down on time in a busy hospital setting. AI can be used in early disease detection and treatments. For examples of early detection, AI detected cancer, sepsis, and other diseases and illnesses faster and more accurately than doctors could. For example, DeepMind AI reduced false positives by 5.7% and false negatives by 9.4%. Additionally, sepsis models detect symptoms hours earlier, and this can be life-saving for someone who's in dire need. AI can also be used in precision medicine because it customizes treatments using genetics and healthcare, so in health data. So it makes a treatment made just specifically for a person. And it can also be used in robotic surgery, which boosts surgical accuracy and shortens recovery time for patients. Now moving on to AI's impact on hospital efficiency. Firstly, it leads to faster diagnoses, as AI accelerates disease identifications, which leads to quicker treatment in patients. It also leads to better resource allocation. For example, AI can prioritize the most urgent cases, which will reduce unnecessary hospital overnight stays or stays that last for long hours. AI can also reduce overcrowding, so AI can predict patient needs, which streamlines hospital operations. Some ethical challenges that go along with AI in healthcare can include data privacy, because AI needs a lot of data, which raises privacy and concerns. AI requires a lot of personal data on patients, and not all patients will feel comfortable with this. So stronger data protections are definitely essential. AI can also develop algorithmic bias, because biased training data can worsen care for minorities, and diverse data sets are the key. AI can get stuck in filter bubbles, which can trap AI. Additionally, the use of AI results in a lack of empathy, since AI lacks the human touch, which reduces trust in patients. Human oversight can be used with a mixed AI and human approach to induce more empathy. Some of my key findings in this paper were that AI significantly enhances hospital efficiency by improving diagnosis speeds and resource management. Ethical concerns like privacy risks, bias, and the loss of human empathy need to be addressed, however, if you want to move on with AI in the future. Hospitals with strong AI policies and regulations typically end up seeing the best outcomes in integrating AI in their system. Now, some of my recommendations on using AI in the future are enhancing better privacy, so implementing stronger patient data safeguards. Additionally, improving AI training datasets for fairness results in less bias. To have a balanced integration, I think that hospitals should use AI and human oversight, so there's more empathy, which I've mentioned previously. And for future research, I think I should focus on AI accessibility and affordability in many hospitals. Finally, for my conclusion, AI improves early detection and hospital efficiency, but responsible use is crucial. Managing data privacy, bias, and doctors' roles ensures healthcare is transformed while keeping patient trust and safety. Finally, here are my resources used. I'd also like to extend my appreciation to Gifted Gabber and Professor Sava and Professor Diaz, because they've helped me very much with this project. So thank you. And thank you to all of my peers who are watching and giving me many insightful tips on how to improve my topic. So thank you very much.
Wonderful job, Aliza. Very interesting topic, and I can see how much hard work has gone into it. Excellent. Professor Sava, a question for Aliza.
Sure. First, good job. Great job. What do you think, in your opinion, is like one upcoming AI innovation in healthcare, like that you're really excited about? And what's one that you're really worried about?
One I'm really excited about is so AI, it's right now it's being integrated into surgery. So the surgeons, they don't have to like do the surgery themselves. They're trying to make AI to do the surgery, which is something I'm really excited about. But this is also like I'm really excited for this, but I'm also the most worried for this same project because I'm worried like AI can mess up because AI isn't always 100% accurate. And if AI messes up during surgery, it could end up in like life-threatening incidents for the patients. So although I'm really excited for like the new technology and how much more efficient hospitals will be, I'm also a bit anxious about like the future and privacy and protection.
Excellent. Let's go with Professor K's question.
Okay, hi Eliza.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hello.
Moving forward, if you were to conduct a future research on this, which area would you want to prioritize?
I really want to prioritize keeping patients protected. So a lot of personal data goes into AI to help like AI will be used to help patients in surgery. And so to do that, they tailor to the patient's needs. So they require really specific information and they require information about genetics and family history and background. And not a lot of patients will feel comfortable with this. So in further studies, I really want to prioritize patient safety and privacy in using AI.
Excellent. Wonderful. So let's go ahead with who do we have here? Ameya Joshi. Ameya, I may be missing out on some people. Please announce yourself or chat with me if I'm missing you out. I don't want to do that, but oh, there you go.
I'm having a little bit of difficulty. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Just give me 1 sec. My computer says I have to reload my Zoom because I had to get.
Well, no, you can give me your presentation and I can present it and you can talk.
Okay. Let me pull.
Okay, I can present it. Hold on a minute.
Okay.
Okay, here you go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Ameya Joshi, and I'm a 9th grader who lives in California. And my topic is a comparative study on how to use machine learning to identify genomic markers, biomarkers that predict breast cancer metastasis. Next slide, please. So the reason that I decided to go further into this topic is because roughly 400 days ago, a close family of mine underwent breast cancer surgery, and I wanted to learn more about what breast cancer is and what it's all about. And as I educated myself about breast cancer, I learned that 1 in 8 women get breast cancer, and in 25% of those cases, breast cancer patients develop a secondary cancer, which is called metastasis. Next slide, please. So once again, I'll state that 1 in 8 women get breast cancer, and 1/4 of those see metastasis. And doctors have always tried to figure out for every patient what their chance is that the cancer will metastasize, and if it does, where. So a newer technique to figuring this question out involves genomics, and specifically applying machine learning to that genomic data and identifying genomic biomarkers to predict breast cancer metastasis. And it's an evolving area that's actually quite exciting. Next slide, please. So why is this exactly exciting? Well, because it has actually huge implications, because you can proactively monitor high-risk patients to try to detect cancer metastasis very early so that the damage is minimal and they have a higher chance of surviving. And you can also design very targeted therapies because you now have a genomic level insight. And next, you could also improve the outcomes of the treatment, and you can reduce overall costs for patients and the system as you can run fewer tests. Next slide, please. So for my research, I specifically selected 2 machine learning algorithms to look at, which are XGBoost and CNN. And CNN is convolutional neural network. And you might be asking why these 2 specific algorithms. And that's because they both have very distinct approaches. And I thought that because they're so different, I should contrast them and see which one is more effective. So my research question is, how effective are XGBoost and convolutional neural network machine learning algorithms in identifying genomic markers that predict breast cancer metastasis? Next slide, please. So I use Perplexity AI, SciSpace, and PubMed.com to help me find my articles and my scholarly articles, and I found paper of researchers who applied the XGBoost algorithm and the CNN algorithm and looked at that data and research. So really quickly, I want to talk about what exactly genomic biomarkers are. And without giving a biology lesson, I just wanted to say that genomic biomarkers are characteristics of DNA and RNA that indicate normal biologic processes. And there are variations in these characteristics or mutations in this that are observed, and experts can look at these biomarkers and understand things about a disease, like how it has progressed and what treatment might be appropriate, or even they could create personalized medicine. And by looking at genomic biomarkers, you can now operate at a molecular level and predict things at a much higher level, which would lead to more accurate and statistical observations. So the best way to understand CNN is to think about how our brain works, and more specifically, how neurons are operated to drive decisions. Like there are layers and layers of neurons, and at the end of it, an action is performed or a thought is made. And CNN, in some ways, is similar to this approach, as it takes images and creates a 2D data at a pixel level and processes it. So it basically just takes an image and then looks at each individual pixel. And it's an unsupervised learning algorithm, which means that it'll learn and extract features from image data, and not a lot of training is required. And on the other hand, XGBoost is a supervised learning model, and it's a variation of a decision tree. So a decision tree is basically just imagining the decision-making process as a tree. So you have one decision, but it can branch off, and you choose either thing, and depending on which decision you pick, there's another branch, and it keeps going on like that. And a lot of training is required for this. So each node, which is like every split in your decision, is a level of prediction, and some of those predictions are weak and strong, but they keep building onto each other, which can create a much stronger prediction at the end. And you can train these models by focusing on correcting the errors made by its predecessors. And gradient boosted decision trees scale better and work faster, and they are cheaper. Next slide, please. So what did I find in my literature review? Well, I will say it was not easy because the space is pretty new and a lot of research is still happening, but most importantly, finding data to build models is hard. Because if you think about it, you want to know which patients have metastasis. And in a 5-year period for these patients, you also need to have genetic information. So getting all of this data is pretty hard. And having said that, I found research where XGBoost was used and a separate research where CNN was used. And it is clear that while they take very different approaches, both are high on accuracy, sensitivity, and specificity. So accuracy basically just indicates how a model correctly predicts the outcome. And in my case, it identifies how the markers predict metastasis. And sensitivity indicates the model's ability to avoid false negatives, or how well a model identifies all the relevant cases. And specificity indicates how well a model correctly identifies the negative cases. And the limitation of CNN is that it requires quite a large data set, and while it can work with image-like data, XGBoost needs more tabular data, and you end up spending a lot of time tuning parameters for CNN. Next slide, please. So the bar graph on the right side is a good conclusion of my research, as it shows the importance of the biomarkers in predicting the metastasis of breast cancer. And this specific data comes from the XGBoost algorithm. So you can see that AL080059 and ubiquilin-1 have a very high importance on metastasis prediction. And in conclusion, though both of the algorithms are highly predictive, I would say that XGBoost comes out a bit better, but not by that much. And in practice, you will use the algorithm based on the data available because, as I said before, image data does work better with CNN, but tabular data works better with XGBoost. Next slide, please. So here are some of my future research opportunities. Every ML model is dependent on available data for modeling purposes. So naturally, what data is used to build the model matters a lot. And to begin with, in this field, there's not a whole lot of data that's available to me, which means that there can be biases in my data, and I need bigger, more diverse data sets. And ideally, you would want data from multiple countries and from all different types of people for a more robust analysis, as well as strong longitudinal data. And one more thing is that we can explore the hybrid approach, which is that if we can maybe combine the CNN's feature extraction capabilities with XGBoost classification, we may find better results. However, I've not found any literature on this, so this remains a possibility and just an opportunity. And we can always have variations of individual algorithms more suited for genomic studies. For example, GraphCNN, multi-layer perceptron, which is MLP algorithms, naive Bayes algorithm, and others. And when you are working with image data, CNN and variations of CNN are very effective. So you can feed images for diagnosis and then tie it to the genetics as the next step in workflow. And these types of systems will greatly help doctors and patients. Next slide, please. So thank you everyone for listening. And I would like to thank Professor Diaz and Dr. Sava for their guidance and help, as it was crucial for helping me create my paper. And I would also like to thank Gifted Gabber for the opportunity to let me create my paper, as I would never have learned as much about my topic as I did if I'd never worked on this before. So thank you.
Awesome. Awesome job, Ameya. Really interesting topic and the effort that you've put in. A question from Dr. Sava.
Hi, good job.
Thank you.
My one question is going to be like, What do you see as the difficulty with trying to get this implemented in like a real oncology office?
I think maybe that you need such a wide variety, like a wide data range. And at least for right now, as what I could see, there's not a lot of data available. So they might not want to use it because without that big, like without a very big data set, it may not be as reliable to use, and maybe their own prediction and their own thoughts on it would be better. So that's what I would think.
Okay, great job. A question from Professor K.
Hi, Amaya.
Hi.
Okay, we were trying to narrow down, like you wanted to do several, like I think originally there were like 5, and then we narrowed out to 3 um areas algorithm to compare, right? But what made you decide to go ahead with CNN and XGBoost out of like the original 5 things that you had in mind?
Well, CNN and XGBoost are they're like super, super different. And because CNN is based on images, while XGBoost is like a decision tree, and it's they're like completely different, which is why I wanted to see which one is better because they're complete polar opposites. I guess that's the only reason, because of how different they are, which is why I decided to do them.
Okay, follow up on that one. So you said because they are 2 polar opposites and you wish to do a combination approach, which aspects do you wish to combine with CNN and XGBoost now that you are familiar with both for better results? What do you think?
So what I guess you can use CNN's turning the image into pixels. So what I would think would work best is that you take the pixels and then CNN converts it and gives what it thinks, and then you could use XGBoost and make a decision tree based on like what CNN's predictions are, and like maybe CNN could provide multiple perspectives on it, and the XGBoost could use its own algorithm and system to zone in on it and so you can use both of them and make a maybe even better prediction.
Great.
Okay.
Great job. Excellent. And we have to keep mindful that Professor K, she's been here forever because we combined our cancer and AI. We are almost there. Let's go with Sanjana. Great job, Ameya. A question for Ameya. Sanjana, are you ready?
Hi, can you see me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, let me just share my screen. Okay, let me know when you can see my screen.
It's coming up.
Okay.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. Hi, I'm Sanjana Sudhakar. I'm in grade 10 and I go to Issaquah High School in Issaquah, Washington. My thesis defense topic is artificial intelligence in special education, specifically with enhancing learning accessibility for autistic children. So this is my agenda overview. I'll start with my introduction, then leading into my literature review and methodology, then my findings, conclusions, and then taking questions. So for my introduction, I'll be going over the main areas of difficulty in autism spectrum condition, as autism spans a spectrum of diagnosis. Autistic children struggle with social communication and interaction, problems with both verbal and nonverbal language, and difficulties in conversations. So how does this apply to education? Well, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA, requires schools to provide students with disabilities with adequate accommodations, and this extends to children with autism. So this leads into my research question of how can AI enhance special education? Or specifically, how can AI be implemented in these accommodations? So for my literature review, I started by gathering information from various sources and dividing it into two main categories. My sources included Google Scholar and Autism Speaks and other organizations. For Google Scholar, I mainly focused on like AI implementation, whereas Autism Speaks helped me gain a deeper understanding of current challenges. So my two main categories are educational challenges and personalized learning. So for educational challenges, current difficulties in classroom settings include social, sensory, and communication challenges that hinder learning, and teachers also lack proper support to help autistic children. So this leads into a need for personalized learning as current standard school methods fail to support their unique needs. And current strategies include individualized educational plans or IEPs, speech therapy, and tailored learning strategies for communication and social growth. So for personalized learning, there are currently adaptive learning systems that enable personalized learning, real-time feedback, and adapting user interface with colors and visuals to help reduce sensory overload for these autistic students. Speech and language processing tools include text-to-speech and speech-to-text to help develop communication skills, and visual and interactive learning can help cater to autistic students by reducing the sensory load and supporting hands-on learning. So for my methodology, I started by gathering data based on these research topics. So difficulties in special education, personalized learning approaches, current AI tools for education and behavioral support, ethical considerations, and bias in AI. Then I took these topics and whatever data I gathered, which was mostly qualitative, and sorted it according to an overview of current educational obstacles, my findings, and the limitations of AI. So most of my data was qualitative, but one quantitative piece of data I was able to find was that boys are 4 times more as likely to be diagnosed with AI than girls are, and which is shown in this graph over here, in which out of these 5 people, 4 of them are boys and 1 of them is a girl. So for my findings for the role of AI in behavioral and classroom support, AI can assist in sensing distress through facial, body, and tone analysis, and devices can track stress levels for real-time support. AI can also help teachers personalize their lessons and track progress to provide feedback to support these autistic students. AI can also detect learning difficulties for autistic students before they become major problems, allowing for early intervention and help the student comprehend the material, which is again something that teachers may not be able to do effectively. Going into ethical considerations and implementation challenges, one major concern is privacy and data. Educational tools raise privacy concerns by collecting student data, and this can risk unauthorized use. On the right, I provided a graph showing the increase in data breaches per year with a projected data breaches this year of 4,300. So this is a huge problem that should be addressed before going into the implementation of AI. And another challenge is the need for teacher training. Obviously, AI is a powerful tool for supporting education, but without training teachers, parents, and guardians effectively, it loses its potential effectiveness. Continuing on with ethical considerations, another challenge is bias in AI models. But there is limited training data, and this can lead to biases such as cultural and language bias, so leading to misinterpreted speech patterns and biases of people from different backgrounds, and also a norm-based bias, which creates a huge problem specifically in helping autistic students because it may label their behaviors as incorrect, leading to misjudgments in support. In personalized learning, there are also challenges with implementation as it comes at a high cost and it may not be accessible to low-income families due to their expensiveness. Technological literacy is also a challenge as teachers and guardians need to be technologically literate in order to operate these tools efficiently and help the child effectively. And internet and device accessibility is another issue as it may rely on high-speed internet and modern devices, which may not be available to all students. So for my conclusions, my key finding is that obviously AI is a very powerful tool in assisting special education and supporting autistic students, but specifically, AI is a tool that is implemented in educational and social growth for providing classroom support. Limitations include privacy risks, bias, accessibility challenges, and the need for human oversight. Future goals for AI implementation include enhanced personalization, improved emotional support, secure AI development, ensuring data privacy, and greater accessibility. Thank you. I'd like to thank Gifted Gabbert for providing me with this opportunity. I'd like to thank Professor Monica for giving me a deeper understanding of AI. And I'd like to thank Professor Kay for providing me with a solid research outline. I have no research experience, and I think both my professors provided me with helpful feedback and a solid foundation to help me build this up from scratch. So thank you.
Excellent. You want to stop sharing, honey, so that I can get
Yes.
Professor Monica? Okay, great job, Sanjana. I mean, I'm really thrilled to see all students speaking so confidently. I mean, we don't have a stage, but it's almost on stage virtually. That's an opportunity that we provide for our students. It's a 360-degree enhancement. It's just not academics. We also want to develop your personality. So it's wonderful to see each and every one of you confidently coming and speaking about your research. So Professor Sava, a question for Sanjana.
You did an excellent job with ethical considerations, by the way. That was really well done. Going along with that and the idea of data breaches, which every time I see that stat, I'm horrified, by the way, which actually, that was actually lower than what I normally see, but absolutely horrifying. What do you see as not even what do you see, what did you find the most shocking that you really didn't think about before in terms of ethical considerations with this topic?
I think a big one was the data breaches, but another thing was that technological literacy is a huge problem. And in order to actually operate these AI tools, teachers and parents and guardians need to be able to use these tools effectively to help autistic students because they might not be able to use it by themselves.
Great job.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay, a question from Professor Kay.
Hi, Sanjana. Okay, we first started with your passion, which was originally cerebral palsy, right? But then again, you decided on like shifting into children with autism because you realized that there was already so much help provided for cerebral palsy, but not with autism. Okay, why do you think that is? Why do you think there aren't so much about autism in your school, and how do you think the government should do in order to provide this particular proposal of yours to be provided to children with autism, especially in your school?
So, I did look into the idea of the Individualized Disability Educational Act. So they have put that into play where you need to provide these resources, like schools are required to provide these resources. But I think that AI should be used to enhance these accommodations. As there are accommodations that are provided, but I just think that teachers aren't like very well equipped to help multiple students and provide feedback and like personalized learning as much as AI has the potential to.
Thank you. Excellent. We're almost at the end. I want to know if I missed out on anybody. Is there anyone that I didn't call?
Yeah, I still haven't gone. I haven't gone either.
Okay, turn on your video and let's get with you. There you go, Hari. Anyone else apart from Hari? Please let me know. My list is kind of messed up and I don't want to miss out on anybody.
I haven't gone either.
Okay, Venkat Prasad. Are you Venkat Prasad or Are you the student?
I'm Nitin.
Nitin. Okay, I'm just going to rename you and I'll call you. Okay, Nitin. Excellent. Thank you. Go ahead, Hari.
Right. Okay. Can you guys see this?
Yes.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Hari, and this is my thesis defense. I'm from Downtown STEM Academy in Pennsylvania, by the way. I'm a 10th grader. And my project is about AI-powered self-healing heat shields for reusable rockets. Can you guys see like my slides changing?
Yes, you want to do present and present. It's like it'll fill up the screen then.
All right, but do you see it changing?
Yes, yes, I see a screen. Yeah.
All right. So at the core of my project is about solving issues in heat shields and rockets with max reusability for the future. So like one of the things that we see is like with planes, right? Like we see it like commercial planes especially, like they land and then they like take off like a lot of the times, like even like upwards of 10 to 20 times a day. And so like because of this, like reusability is what drives like a commercial force. And so with rockets, like this is what companies like SpaceX and like Blue Origin, for example, are looking to do in the future. And so because rockets want like obviously like they want to become like reusable in the future, that means that heat shields are going to have big problems as well. So with my literature review, I looked at four main problems. The first one being why are reusable rockets such a hot topic? And as I said before, reusable rockets are going to be the future of the aerospace industry.
Okay.
Especially,
I'm sorry, Hari. Your slides are not changing.
oh, okay.
So if you put it in the presentation mode, you will be able to click and move them.
Let me see. It doesn't let me like present. Like I have a button at like the
Okay, give me download it as a PDF or give me the link and I will present it. Meanwhile, let's go with Nitin and come back. Is that all right?
yeah.
Okay. Nitin, you want to go ahead?
Sure. Let me turn on my video.
Okay, great. You want to just lower your video so we can see your face? Okay. Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Can you guys?
Yes.
My name is Nitin Prasath, and I'm a 10th grader, and I go to Downingtown East High School, and I'll be presenting on the use of AI and robotics design in exoskeletons. So the focus of my research was on the benefits of AI and how robotics design can be used in exoskeletons. And these findings can help assist the elderly and those with physical impairments and return their former quality of life. The objective of my research was to find the most effective integration of AI and robotics design and prevent potential challenges that may arise in practical use cases. Some main research that I found at the core of my paper was interconnected electronics and mechanical systems and the use of AI to improve gait accuracy in exoskeletons and robotics design to eliminate the bulky nature of exoskeletons. Some limitations I found of exoskeletons in general was the high barrier of cost, the very low battery life, the fact that it's very specialized and makes it hard to provide to the masses. In fact, it's in its juvenile stage of development, which may account for some unforeseen accidents or unfamiliarities that could be narrowed down with more research and time. So moving on to my methodology, some of the main journals that I used was IEEE Explorer, Springer, MDPI, Frontiers, RCIV, PubMed, and variety of a variety of papers from Google Scholar and ResearchGate. And these papers were only eligible if they were written in English and available with no payment block. And I only use these articles if they had a core in robotics design, possible clinical technologies, and the use of AI for optimization of exoskeletons. The main findings and results that I conclude from my paper was soft robotics design and passive robotics can decrease metabolic rate and effort need from the patient. AI can improve gait accuracy and predict movements in real time. So, and soft robotics design allows for more range of motion and adaptive kinematic flexibility in both passive and active kinematic structures. And a multitude of actuators and IoT units can focus and treat one specific area of interest on the body instead of a large area. Instead, so it could focus on the particular patient instead of solving a different issue. And lastly, I found that AI can replicate each patient and implement a preferred gait pattern, which can perfectly replicate their own walking structure instead of having a bit more restrictive walking pattern. Some of the limitations I found in my paper in general was that it's challenging to ensure that all relevant literature on this topic was included because there's a lot of some say may have been hidden or overlooked because of payment blocks with barriers of language. Some success is measured through engineering KPIs instead of patient-centered outcomes. So that may have altered some of the data a bit. And then portion of the AI training pipeline is synthetic and simulated, which can't convey the actual complexity and chaos of the real world when it's implemented. And to conclude, the objective of my research was to find if the integration of AI and robotics design can help improve the effectiveness of exoskeletons and the challenges that can arise in practical use cases. And my paper contributes research towards the AI-driven exoskeletons because no other paper connects biomechanics, robotics design, and ethical design. And I provide a unique perspective of these numerous studies. I also show different potential of other soft robotics and machine learning techniques that can be combined. And I also address gaps in cost, accessibility, and long-term safety. I would also like to thank Professor Monica and Professor Sava for helping me build my study and derive a good conclusion. And thank you.
Great job, Nitin. You want to stop sharing so that, yeah. Professor Sava, a question for him? We need a video on Nitin.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
No, a question for Nitin.
Okay, so you noted that AI can replicate and adapt to each person's gait. How might that level of personalization impact the long-term mobility or independence for that person?
So I found that initially, since AI needs a lot of data, it relies on the preset data that's given. So initially it'll be a bit bulky and it won't perfectly replicate, but over time it matches the preferred walking pattern. So it becomes a better tool over time. Instead of other exoskeletons which may deteriorate, these kinds of exoskeletons kind of improve over time, actually.
Thanks.
I'm sorry, I'm on mute. Professor K, a question for Nitin.
Okay. Hi, Nitin.
Hello.
When you proposed this study, you mentioned that you and your friends were actually working on a prototype, and this paper will serve as the foundation of that prototype, or it's something that you wish to enhance. So where does your prototype start with this, how does it connect to this particular paper?
So actually we're developing and I underestimated the difficulty of this prototype. The simulation stage and all these other different components I overlooked. So this paper serves as the foundation of my understanding of it. So for example, some different AIs and the way I actually derived the information, I actually learned through this paper. For example, TensorFlow and PyTorch, those are different applications that I can use. And I've seen through other people's research and I learned from other people how I can actually implement. And these different ideas brought up new perspective on how I can actually make this prototype possible.
Amazing. Great job. And I'm so happy that there's so many kids from my son's school, right? Although he's going to graduate this year. Amazing. Great job, Nitin. Let's go with you want to share your presentation with me, and I can present or how do we do this?
I sent like a link in the chat.
Oh, you did. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me check. Hold on a minute. I'm gonna go look. Wait. Okay, let me see if I can open it. Okay, yes, I can. I'm going to share my screen now. Here we go.
All right, hello. My name is Hari, and this is my thesis defense. The next slide, please. So yeah, once again, my project is about AI-powered self-healing heat shields for reusable rockets. Next slide, please. So yeah, the core of my project is about solving issues in heat shields for rockets with max reusability for the future. Like how over time, like we have seen like commercial planes flying like more distance and more flights in a day, right? And so because of that, more innovations have come in these airplanes. And just like that, we need to do the same for rockets as companies have shown their interest in that. And so next slide, please. So yeah, coming back to the idea, like why are reusable rockets such a hot topic? This issue is studied by many reviews, and so like one of the main things about reusable rockets is kind of again like about like how planes work. Like we need to take different things up to space and back down, and overall we need like better logistics in space. And so because of that, the aerospace industry will need reusable rockets. And so what are the problems reusable rockets face today? And the main thing is heat shields, because heat shields are very delicate and they're very high-tech material. And so because of this, they face cracks and detachment during their performance, especially in re-entry. And the main thing why heat shields are such a big like indicator of if it's going to work or not is because with these re-entries that reusable rockets go through, or they're meant to go through like 10 to 20 times like a day, that's the goal. And so for heat shields to go through that, they need to be strong and have some kind of healing mechanism. And so what are the self-healing materials out there today? So in relevance to this paper, like many papers, but this one especially showed that there were extrinsic and intrinsic, which means within the material itself and outside the materials, there were many different self-healing materials. And my goal for this project was to see what self-healing materials could work for a heat shield to strengthen the heat shields for reusable rockets. And so I also wanted to implement AI into this to see if it could be automated or if it could be a better system overall. And so the conclusion was that AI-powered sensors and machine learning solutions can make self-healing materials smarter, which is especially important for rockets as they need that automation and that smartness element to it so that it can work in these extreme environments. Next slide, please. So yeah, my final question that I looked at for this project was how can self-healing materials be used for heat shields on reusable rockets and integrated with AI? So I discussed 3 solutions here. So the first one is microcapsule-based self-healing materials. And so how it works is like you have these small capsules with some kind of self-healing adhesive, or it could be even oil, and some kind of wax that's in these capsules. And so what happens is when, for example, an AI or some kind of system detects a crack or detachment in the heat shield, then these microcapsules will rupture, and it puts these adhesives into the cracks, which makes it a self-healing material. And the plus points of this system is that it's not within the material, like the material composition, but it's inside as a system that works as it's like by itself. And it's tried and tested with many papers and many experience that's been happened before. And how AI can be used to improve this is by unsupervised machine learning for healing agent properties. And AI simulations can even look at optimization of capsule placement depending on where the heat shield is in the rocket and what mission it needs to be on. Another solution that I look at is vascular self-healing materials. And so like the capsule-based self-healing material, vascular is like kind of taken from like biology, like how vein structures work. It looks at the most optimal pathway for these self-healing adhesives to flow through these cracks. And so when a crack is determined, then the vascular self-healing, that pathway puts the adhesive into these cracks. And the benefit of both of these systems, if they were applied, is if a crack is detected, then the adhesive can go through it without needing much of an engineer's work or repairing it. And so computer vision algorithms with sensor networks can also detect cracks. Now, my third solution that I looked at was a self-healing via glassy phase flow, which means that there's layers of glass, for example, Pyrex, that are put into the heat shields. And so with this, material informatics models can scan different glasses based on the conditions needed, and neural networks can examine glass distribution as well. Next slide, please. So for my conclusion, this was a way to see how smart AI-powered self-healing materials can be used on rockets, especially now that we need to look at how rockets can be reused many times in a day, a month. Like, who knows where this industry can go? And with limitations, a main thing is ethics, because heat shields are such an important part of rockets, and just one wrongly placed heat shield, too damaged heat shield can literally make the rocket fail like almost instantly. And so another thing is cost, because heat shield, they're made of very expensive materials, and adding AI can make it more costly. So we need to study that drawback between cost and safety. And so, yeah. Next slide, please. And so now with my research experience with Gifted Gabber, I really love the technical knowledge that I gained from Professor Sava, and my understanding of AI was expanded a lot. Like, I learned about how neural networks work, how computer vision works, and all that great stuff. And with Professor Diaz, I really appreciate the information on how the research process works. And I really loved how you taught me about how to write in a more academic format and be more clear and concise with my writing style. And so thank you so much, everyone.
I'm just going to tell them, in more minutes, and my students will be done. Workshop, right? The kind of topic that you picked, I mean, it's so amazing. And you really not really enough. I still high school students. I mean, the depth and the way you've gone is like, it's not the
I was not hearing you well. Was everybody else? Maybe it's just my screen. Anyway, I have a question.
Warbly too for me.
Okay. Great job. Great topic.
Thanks.
What do you think the biggest challenge is going to be in making these self-healing materials space ready? Do you think it's limitations, real-time response?
Yeah, so like I think one of the biggest factors is going to be cost, because especially in the aerospace industry, like we need to make sure that like solutions are not only efficient and effective, but they're also cost friendly, because especially with like things that are going above and like things that are being placed there for like safety and safety only, like we need to make sure that it's not as costly, because that can make or break a deal with a company and can seriously hinder like the growth of the industry, because it's not just about safety, it's not just about effectiveness. Sometimes it can also just be about feasibility.
Thank you.
Professor, please, the questions.
Oh, sorry about that. Um, Harry, I mean, you already mentioned the cost, but yeah, one of the things during our discussion was like, which particular industry do you think will most benefit on the reusability of the rocket?
So yeah, the aerospace industry will be one of the like biggest like beneficiaries of this because not only do rockets rockets are a big part of the aerospace industry, obviously, but it's not just that because like if you look at like for example, like the agriculture industry, like I know it's not as direct as you might seem, but like with new advancements in, for example, this company called Space Copy now does like they're printing out like shelters for possible what is it like shelters on like the moon or like Mars, and so like if, for example, like farming solutions happen on those areas, then like what's taking stuff to moon? What's taking stuff back to Earth, right? And so I think overall, like rockets, like throughout history, they've been such like a like booster of so many industries, and I think really pretty much every industry like in the world can benefit from this, really.
Excellent. 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 So I just want to you, I'm going to on the news paper, in space, in space, not just going to be necessarily in space, but going to be absolutely. So can I want you, and Professor Sun, Professor Please, or amount that is monitoring these areas is very great for each and every one of you. So just this of your research journey, right? This is the first month of the rocket is presentations. So I think around that lots to everybody, and I just want to say thank you, and I look forward to your innovations in the future. Professor, is there something else? Is something on your
It's the same.
Everybody, please don't see when you know your success is a success. So tremendous success because each and every one of you in your assessment and the presentation is phenomenally well. So I'm proud of your certifications and more information. So thank you, Professor Monica, Professor Ali.